welcome back everybody to Wilder Action Birds and Bees. Just going to do a quick test here between the Olympus OM1 with the 90mm macro up against its full frame bigger brothers. Bigger brothers? You know what I mean. I'm going to do a quick test. As you guys know, I just bought the Olympus OM1 Mark II and I'm going to test it with the 90mm macro up against the Sigma 180mm macro f2.8 EX and the Sigma 150mm EX 2.8 on the Canon R5. Also, this one's going to go on the Canon R5, but the 150 is going to go on there with my secret weapons that I told you about. I think it actually makes it slightly longer, maybe about 200mm rather than 180mm, but we'll see how that one goes. And I've got the Nikon Z8 with the 105mm MC. So that obviously is nowhere near the 180mm mark, but we'll see, considering that's supposed to be a 90mm with a 2x crop, we'll see how that goes up against the 105 with obviously no crop. What I actually want to see is how it's going to affect the depth of field if I'm shooting insects in flight. So for insects in flight, I want to be able to make the background go out of focus as much as possible, because with insects in flight, you're often flying in front of stems or petals. Petals is okay, but you want to be able to make it nice and smooth behind the subject rather than just, you don't want texture there too much, because you want to emphasize that the insect is flying. You want it away from your background. It's nice to have a background there, nice bit of color or whatever, but you want that color to melt away so that you can really emphasize the insects flying. I have already taken pictures and I've got them on the computer now. I'm going to show you that I've put this plank of wood down at 105mm and I've used the focal markers on all three cameras to have the distance exactly the same, and then I brought the camera forwards to 47mm. I'll show you on the tape measure I've done, and I've done the same thing, but I've done 2 shots at f4 from distance and then 2 shots at f10, and this is because when I shoot on my full frame cameras, I shoot up around f10, and I'm hoping to be able to shoot around about f4 for the OM1. So I'll see how this goes. I've edited a couple of pictures because I've realized that the noise levels on the OM1 at 1600 show a lot greater, but as you'll see in the pictures, after your final edit, I'm not sure if it's going to make that much difference. So I'm just going to go through quickly. I've got my first picture here. This is the 105mm, which I'm kind of using as a baseline at f4. So you can see even from that distance of 105mm, the microphone I put right behind, and that was to try and show how much I could get, if it was a stem or something like that, how much it would go out of focus. But what I realized when I was taking these pictures, as I've got really close, that microphone, you can't even see it. So if you try and look at the numbers as well that are around this, around the barrel of the lens on this, you'll see that they go out of focus as well. I've focused on the Zeiss, the blue Zeiss thing here. So that's what it's actually focused on. I'll be honest with you, not every camera hit that Zeiss spot on. I should have manually focused, but to be honest, I'm not going to be manually focusing when I'm shooting. So this is a good test as well to see how accurate they are when you're out in the field. I'm not out in the field, but you know what I mean. Just going to stop a sec because I have I just realised I got the fan heater on because it's mega cold in here. All right, fan heater's now switched off. So hopefully that's a bit less noise in the background. Yeah, so we've got the 105 at f4 here, ISO 1600. All of the ISOs have stayed the same at 1600 because we're indoors. I mean, I haven't got a lot of light in this room. I've got to start putting proper lighting in this room so that I can, when I do things like this, I can lower my ISO. But anyway, so we're at 1600 f4 and 180 shutter speed. The brightness levels might change on these slightly, but I'm not really looking at the brightness levels. I'm more looking at the out of focus areas, and not, Yes, the sharpness of the image, but this is not a sharpness test. I just want to see what the background's like rather than the image itself. So now we've got it at f10. So you see the difference there, f4 to f10. That mesh on the microphone, this is why I wanted to use that microphone, to be honest. You can see how crinkly that becomes. If I got closer, you could see it even worse. You can see by the body of the camera now, you can see a lot more detail in the body at f10, but I wouldn't shoot at 105 at this distance. I would have got a lot closer by now. But this is just to show, all being equal at the same distance, how each one works. Now this is close up with the 105 at f10, and you see the difference that makes. Again, you can see the microphone in the background, but if you look at the numbers going away, you can see if you was bang on with the insect going away, if you go up the lens, see where it says 5.6, you can see how out of focus that's going already. So we've got now the 105 at f4, and I wouldn't, can you see, look, the Zeiss is in focus, but even at this 16 point, that's already going out of focus. If that was an insect, it'd be very hard to get any kind of shot at f4 like that, which is why I shoot at f10. Now we've got the Olympus at 90mm. So this is close up though. That was close up on the 105, and this is close up on the 90mm. Again, this is not about lighting, it's not about detail. This is more about background. And as you see again, at f4, very close up. I don't think I'll be shooting this at f4. This is why I experiment before I go out, because I want to try and see what kind of aperture I'll be using when I go out there. I haven't gone in between because this is not that kind of a test. I just wanted to see how much of a difference it's going to make at these kind of distances. So this is far away now with the 90mm. And as you can see, the noise levels are much higher with this OM system compared to its bigger brothers, but we knew that anyway. But after editing, it's not too bad. What have we got here? So, yeah, so this is f4 at distance, which is, like I said, if I was to actually shoot at that kind of that's not too bad at all. I like that out of focus area, and I would probably be a little bit closer than that, to be honest. Maybe bring that distance down by about half, and there's enough depth of field there. I think I might have to stop that down to about f5 or, sorry, f5.6 or something like that. But looking at that 5.6 on that barrel, maybe as I got closer, I would have to step that down a bit, but I'm not going to have to step down to f10. The depth of field is making that much of a difference. And this is at f10 from distance. So you can see the difference that makes at that kind of distance. I wouldn't want that like that there. I would come in closer, and then maybe f10 would be all right there, but no, I wouldn't want that like that. I need a smaller depth of field than that at that kind of distance. So this is the closest focusing distance with the OM1, and as I said before, I'm mega impressed with how far. That's 2:1 macro, but it actually missed the target. But I was using autofocus, so I'm not going to blame the camera for that. That's user error. And as I get on better, I probably, hopefully, will get better. As you can see, the line on the right-hand side, to you it may be the left, I don't know how this is going to come out. You can see where the focus actually hit. It hit on the body, but you can see that's really good details at 2:1. And considering that was autofocus, that's not too bad. Here we've got the R5 with the 180mm at the longest distance. This is the 180mm, and this is at f4. And you see we've got some melty stuff in the background as well now. That really does go out of focus very well. I will say at 180mm, the working distance of the camera is shorter than on the 90mm, because that lens is like probably maybe twice the size, I don't even know. I do normally shoot with hoods on to protect the glass, but in this test I did take the filter off, but it still doesn't give you as long as a working distance as the 90mm does. This is at f10, but you can see even at f10 at that distance we still got some melting going on, because it is actually 180mm full frame. When people say to me, it doesn't make a difference, it does make a difference. I don't care what anyone tells you, it does make a difference going from full frame to, if I show you again, see, look, that's f10 with the 90mm, and that's f10 with the 180mm full frame. It does make a difference. It might not make a light difference because everyone keeps telling me you get the same amount of light in the camera, but the way that the camera deals with noise and the way that the depth of field difference is quite significant. But like I said, hopefully because of the depth of field difference, I'll be able to shoot wider open, because this is macro photography. This is not about birds or anything like that. This is the R5 with the 180mm close up, misfocus. I don't know where it's focused there, but that Zeiss is not that sharp. But that gives you an idea of what it's like closer up. And this is the 150mm. Now, like I said to you, this is not actually 150mm because we've got extra things on here. So this is my life-size converter on here, and I've got a macro ring on here as well. So it makes the actual length, focal length of this lens different. This is why this used to be my go-to. This is at f10, and even at f10 from that distance, that's the kind of thing I look for. That's like perfect. I mean, I'm gonna be experimenting properly with the OM when I get out there to see what actual distance I'll shoot at. The OM, I think, could take over. I will probably be using the Nikon with the 105 and the OM together to get good distances, and then when I need proper closer, it's more, I think the Nikon's going to be more about the video to me rather than anything else, because I love the way it holds on to insects in flight with that Nikon. It doesn't just keep pulsing out of focus. I will try it with the OM. I didn't like the way it did it with these lenses. It is a Sigma lens on a Canon body, so I can't really blame it for that, but yeah, it used to pulse quite a lot. So, but the Nikon has been great for video. And now we've got the Nikon Z8 at distance. This is the 105. I don't even know if I've already gone through this. This is the 105, and this is, so this is an edited photo. So what I've done, I didn't remove noise. I've just put it through a quick sharpen, and I use sharpen rather than denoise now. And as you can see, it's pretty much got rid of the noise that's there anyway. I mean, maybe if I zoomed in, you'll see noise in the background. No, it's pretty much gone. Normally, when I edit, and I'm editing Photoshop, I use the denoise as well as the sharpen. So I denoise in Photoshop and then sharpen after. But I hadn't needed to denoise in the camera because it was 1600, and you see how much easier the full frame deals with noise than the OM would have. This is the 180mm sharpened, and again, that's the Nikon, that's the one end. Shows how much of a difference that makes. It really is double the length. So that's the 180, and then that's the 150, and that's the difference the 150 makes. So that's 180, that's 150. So that probably is maybe even longer than that. It's probably about 220mm that makes that lens. Can't really tell you because there's no exact thing for it. But yeah, and so let me just go back to this, because this is the edit with the OM, and I can still see not loads of noise, but I've just, like I said, so this one I did put through denoise in the Photoshop, but I don't do a massive denoise. It's just a small denoise, and then it's been sharpened. But as you can see, as a picture, that's not, to be honest, I think that's even probably sharper than these other edits. I mean, that is pretty sharp. That's the Nikon one, and then that's the Canons. I don't see much difference. I'm just going to delete these quickly because I don't need them anymore. I've just showed you so that you can just see them side by side. Let's just move that to the bin. So they're all side by side. So that's the OM edit. That's the Nikon edit. That's the 180 on the Canon. I must say there is a difference between the 90mm and the 180. That is quite a big difference in size. That's the 180 on the Canon, and that's the 180 on the 90mm. So that either the Canon's longer than 180, or the OM is shorter than 90 with a 2x crop, because that does make a difference. And are they both at f4? So all three of these are at f4, just so that you can see at distance at f4. So that's the OM at f4, that's the 180 at f4, and that's the 150 at f4. And we can see, yes, there is a difference in background, definitely a background blur difference. You definitely notice that background more, but I'm shooting at I'd probably be shooting closer up, so I could deal with that a bit easier. I'm pretty impressed with the Olympus so far. Definitely different. That is not 180 millimeters. When you say, oh yeah, it's exactly the same once you double it up, that's not the same. And the focal plane was in exactly the same place. I made sure of that. So yeah, so that's the 150, that's the 180, and that's the 90. Anyway, that was just to show what the depth of field difference will be once I start playing. But they are side by side comparisons. There's no difference in them. And hopefully that actually shows. I'm quite flabbergasted at how much that 150 makes a difference. Anyway, please like, share, subscribe, follow this OM journey as we go on, OM1 Mark II journey as we go on, and I will see you on the next vid. Hopefully I'm going to start getting out in the wild soon. It's just very cold and I haven't had time, work and children, so take it easy. Bye.